Well, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of We Watch Shudder. My name is JD. Who's here with me?
It's Michelle.
It's always Michelle. Also, Riley is here with us. Do you have any guests in studio over there, Michelle?
No, I kicked everybody out of my office. Pudge
Right
was
on.
being very screamy, and so she lost lap privileges while I was recording.
Yeah, I don't...
Pudge is a cat, not a human person.
I have the opposite problem in that if I were to close my door and leave Riley outside, he would just start barking and barking and barking until I opened the door. That dog, like, I know animals, a lot of animals, this dog fucking hates a closed door. And even if even if mom is here, if she's sitting out there with him and he wasn't even alone, that door is closed, he's gonna lose his fucking mind.
He's missing out on stuff. He's got massive FOMO.
Yeah, clearly. Oh, well, that's the episode. Thanks for tuning in, guys. That
Okay,
joke
bye.
never gets old. I don't know about you, Michelle, but I'm all set. I'm ready to go. I just today finally found and picked up the brand new Fanta Chucky Punch flavor, which is just like a fruit punch Fanta, but it's got Chucky on it. And it's pretty good. So I got my Chucky Punch. I got my Chucky Punch. I got my... I don't know why I'm showing you these things. We're not recording video, but I got my Cold Spring water. You got all your beverages?
I have green tea and water. Those are my two right now.
Hey, there you got to have a water and then something else. We're ready to go.
I have not gotten through this gigantic jug of water today, but I also could not find it. And then I found out my husband's side of the bed, and I was like, did you take my water bottle? And he's like, no, you put it there when you insisted on sleeping on my side of the bed. And ladies and gentlemen, everyone in between, this is why we just don't change our sleeping habits, because you wind up losing a water bottle for a full 24 hours.
I'm just trying to figure out how it is you didn't remember that you slept on the other side of the bed.
I tend to steal his side of the bed while I'm, like, he'll get up to go to the bathroom, and he'll come back. Ooh, fun, story time. When we were in Sioux Falls 2 weeks ago with Jenna, Tristan, and I for the Saw the Musical girls trip, Jenna and I shared a bed, and I was like, hey, just so you know, I am going to need my own blanket because I will steal this blanket if we share it. And she was like, okay. So we had separate blankets, but in the middle of the night, she got up to go to the bathroom, and she came back and was trying to put the blanket on her, and she was like, what's going on? And I had alligator rolled her blanket just immediately from her getting up.
I was expecting your response was just going to be, JD, how many times do I have to tell you I have a traumatic brain injury? But then I got this whole thing about blankets. I love it.
I alligator death rolled, so the second night we got a different blanket, and I tried my hardest to be conscious enough not to take her goddamn blanket.
That's awesome.
I can't help it. I'm a tornado when I'm sleeping.
I would be the same way if anybody ever decided it was a good idea to sleep with me, which...
Yeah.
Oh, we don't need to go into that. I don't need that, man. If we got to try to avoid the therapy portion for as much as because, man, everything that's going on right now, this might turn into a real shit show. By the way, if this is your first time tuning in, thanks for checking out the show. I promise you we do talk about horror movies, but, you know, we just kind of chat about our lives, too, because we're fucking weird, and... I don't know why I all of a sudden feel like I need to explain this, because I never really do this a lot, or at least not to this level. So let's just move on.
Structure.
We're talking about the twin.
The twin.
The twin, not the twin 2022. Like when I saw the title of this movie and the release, and it was going to be a Shudder thing. There was a movie in 2022 that was also called The Twin, and it was one of the first movies that we reviewed. Please don't go back and listen to that episode. I was a jerk. But I was really anxious that this was somehow like a Speak No Evil situation where somebody had taken that movie and just remade it right away. But no, it's just a completely different movie called The Twin. And I was so relieved. But also, I had never heard of this movie in any way, shape, or form until it showed up on the Shudder schedule. Michelle, I'm curious, with all the tracking you do of horror releases and such, what did you know about The Twin?
It was on my list of things to watch. I don't know how it got there other than it was just a new release that got added to the pile, and I was waiting for somebody to say something persuasive enough to make me watch it. So it was in the list. It was in the database.
And then the insistence was Shudder put it on their schedule. Although, to be fair, we did talk a little while ago about possibly if we wanted to skipping over some Shudder exclusives while we're going to continue to focus on all the originals. And this, in fact, did turn out to be just an exclusive. But I think I'm going to have plenty to talk about. Are you going to have a lot to talk about, Michelle?
Yeah, but I almost wish I had invoked that.
Oh, wow. Way to get with spoilers, Michelle. Spoilers.
It's because I'm going to get angry about a thing that nobody else cares about.
Okay, so Michelle finished the movie before I did, and she said to me, she sent me a message, you know, like a real friend who sends you a message about something and then refuses to pay it off and just leaves you hanging. She said there's something in... Yeah, I get it. She's like, there's something in this movie. I just had to turn the movie off for a minute and just rant at my husband for a while. And she also was specifically like, you probably won't even give a shit, but it's driving me nuts. And she refused to tell me before. Apparently it's cool enough information to be official recorded. Hey, here's a complete tangent that just hit me, Michelle. Do you realize that just 2 days ago as we record this, we officially passed 50,000 plays for our podcast?
Wow. I feel like we should send out apologies to all of them.
Now, I know some of you out there are like...
so sorry.
Dead Meat gets 50,000 plays for every new episode. I don't care.
Listen, Dead Meat is not hemorrhaging funds to the extent that we are. They have a good business model. They need the plays because if they stopped making profit, it would be a problem. For us, it's expected that we're going to lose money the more that we put stuff out.
Whenever Michelle brings up the podcast hemorrhaging money, I also hasten to remind people that when Michelle says the podcast is hemorrhaging money, what she means is that she's hemorrhaging money because I'm a poor folks, and somehow I tricked her into being hopelessly devoted to this wonderful project of ours, and she just continues to dump money into it. When I say, hey, can we do this? And she says, yeah, sure.
Speaking of our first sellable merch item, aside from T-shirts, is going to be beanies.
It's going to be beanies, not the underwear?
Here's the thing about the underwear. They are decent enough quality, a little spendy at $20 a pair. I am not happy with the size limitation because I have so many friends who would not be able to get them.
Right.
However,
I think that's fair.
I have had some burlesque friends offer to teach me how to properly bedazzle them. So if I wanted to hand bedazzle squelching onto panties, I feel like I could justify the $25 cost at that point, and then it would be really silly. So I'm debating doing that. You know, with all the free time that I have, with being employed full-time, job, volunteer work, podcast,
marriage,
bonus side project podcast.
Notice I'm the one who reminded you to say marriage, and then you didn't even say it. That's weird, Michelle. Are you saying John is not a priority?
No, but he knows it, and it's part of the healthy.
Also, before I forget, and yes, if you are just tuning in, this happens all the time. I have random thoughts that I need to get out. And before I forget, I have really been going through it lately. I've mentioned before that my mom is dealing with cancer, and we've had a pretty rough time of it the last week or so. And Michelle, being the true friend that Michelle is, my kitchen was slowly becoming a disaster because, no pun intended, I just didn't have the spoons to deal with the kitchen with all the other stress. And Michelle came to my apartment and she cleaned my kitchen for me. If that's not a friend, I don't know what a friend is. Somebody who will come in and deal with your dirty dishes and frankly the unfortunate fruit fly situation. Michelle, did I tell you I figure out what's going on there? It's something in the pipes. It's something like down in the drain. So I gotta get some. Yeah, we talk about a life, fucking fruit flies and all. You guys, I've been trying to figure out where the fuck they were coming from for so long, and then just the other day, I came out into the kitchen and I happened to see several of them coming up out of the drain in the sink, and I was like, oh, there's something down there I need to kill.
That makes so much sense because by the time I was leaving, I was like, wow, there's very few fruit flies because I had the sinks full the entire time, just like with rinsing dishes or the other side to wash. And I had them blocked. They couldn't get out. Okay. Wow. Yeah.
So we solved that problem.
I got to hang out with your dog. He side-eyed me really hard for a very long time, and I tried giving him a treat, and he just let it sit beside him for like an hour because he just did not trust that I was giving him a treat. So your dog was very suspicious. And then I played a lot of emo music from my teenage years that I knew that you would absolutely hate listening to, and that got me through the dishes just fine.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate all your help, and I want to make sure the whole world knows that you're fucking rad all the time, and that I'm just not siphoning money off you to feed my my hobby.
No, you're also asking me to clean your kitchen.
Please also let me make it. I didn't ask you to clean my kitchen, Michelle. I asked for a volunteer, and you said,
like, "I have keys."
You said, "I'm not yet busy enough."
Yeah,
I can add a kitchen cleaning in here anyway.
First week of school, and I was like, I have to go spend a Saturday doing that instead of getting any of my assignments done.
Well, I appreciate you making. I do when I point out that that pretty much all of the money going into the podcast is Michelle's because I have anxieties about this shit. I do also immediately point out that I never like she is doing this voluntarily. I'm not holding her hostage.
No, God, no. I just set things up on autopay, and then I never look at it again, and then I don't have to feel bad about it. That's the brilliance of autopay, because sometimes I look. Here's a thing. I have so many subscription services because I figure if I watch one good movie per streaming service per month, that's the equivalent of a movie ticket, and it's justified because I watch a lot of movies. Peacock
I like
had a
that
price
philosophy.
Increase. Yeah, but Peacock had a price increase, and I went, you are not worth $5 more per month. Fuck off. And for the first time in years, I canceled this subscription service.
They went up $5 all at once for Peacock?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, Jesus.
And I was like, listen, I like Twisted Metal. I will wait until all of Twisted Metal comes out this full season. I'll get you for a month. I'll watch the 3 movies I want to watch, and then I'll be gone. For a while, Peacock has just been like I'm glad that there's other competitors out there besides Hulu and Disney and HBO and all of those like big ones. Like, yeah, go Peacock. Plus, it lets me have a little avatar. My avatar is a dinosaur. And so every time I log in, I see like a T-Rex with my name below it, and that just like gives me a little spark of joy. But that is too much of an increase, and I can no longer justify it. So Peacock's probably going to become one of those things I like get every other month. I'll still support them, but like, goddamn, Peacock, I can't justify that.
That's awesome. I remember in the halcyon days of DirecTV, they eventually changed it so you could only do the swap once a month. But they used to have a thing where you could like order HBO for a month, but then like just watch HBO for like 3 days, and then as long as you didn't cancel it, you just called and changed it to a different service. You could just like swap services every single day if you wanted to. So you just watch all the schedules for what you want to watch, and you could just pick a different. Yes, it was awesome. And then, like I said, eventually they changed it so you could only swap once a month. But yeah, it was pretty dope.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we started talking about the twin, and yes, if this is your first time tuning in, this is what happens. So let's get back to talking about the twin. Michelle knew it was coming, but didn't know much about it. I didn't know shit about it. Michelle, I'm gonna hit you with a description script. That's the description for those of you who don't know. I can't
Description
speak here
ship.
today.
Oh no, it's sinking. Oh no.
Oh no.
Anyway,
I'm gonna...
Titanic. There's a billionaire who's already building a submersible to go check it out. Oh, he died. He died.
Oh no, he got squooshed.
Yeah. Oh fuck.
He got squooshed. He got whoosh squooshed.
Under pressure.
Okay, I'm gonna.
I got a lot of thoughts about the billionaire who decided to murder a bunch of people in a suicide.
We talked about that for a long time on a Michelin review. Anyway,
yeah, that guy needs to rot.
I'm gonna read
bit of him there is remaining.
We're never gonna get to this movie.
Okay.
I'm gonna read.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna no descripty script. Not a I think it just got a new name change. Anyway, I'm gonna read the plot summary of this one specifically from Shudder this time because Shudder's is shockingly short and non-spoilery. It says, after the loss of his son, a man experiences terrifying visions of a shadowy figure that looks like himself and must confront the supernatural force before it consumes him completely. The Twin. 2024/2025, depending on how you determine those things. Directed by J.C. Doller. 103 minutes. English language, not rated. Michelle.
Yep.
Hit us with your spoiler-free thoughts on The Twin.
I'm conflicted with this one. There is a thing that drove me nuts for like 20 minutes of the movie, and then it stopped being a thing, and then it became a thing again, and it's like one of those things where like the movie has to get over this hurdle that it doesn't even know exists, and it's just for me. So I was trying to set my feelings aside and be like, I know this is not the movie's fault. This is a nitpick I have, and I just can't get past it. So once it got over that hurdle, for like the middle of the movie, that was pretty good. Like I was okay with the middle portion of it. I feel like it had a really strong beginning. I think it had some cheesiness where it was attempting to be serious, and like it got a little corny when it was not trying to do that, but like we'll get into it in the spoiler section. But there's one thing where I flat out laughed, and this is not the kind of movie that wants you to laugh at it, but it's very dark humor, I guess. So there's some stuff that I enjoyed, some stuff I didn't. Definitely a thing that they could not have accounted for. Like, oh, Michelle Roller in Minnesota is going to get real upset about this thing. We need to make sure to take that out of the movie.
Curious what this thing is.
And then I don't know if they consulted any actual therapists before making this movie, because there's some stuff that the therapist character does. Like, if he has a medical license, it should be taken away. So, like, it's those kind of things where I'm just like, oh, I don't know how much research went into the things that mattered about the backstory.
Yeah, he's that dude is a walking HIPAA violation.
Oh, not a hypno violation too.
Yes,
we'll get into it. But yeah, unfortunately, like a lot of the like core story fell apart so much for me that it became distracting. And on top of the thing that drove me crazy and made me pause it and rant for a while, and then I come back to like this incompetent therapist, it was very hard. I didn't like the CGI. I thought there was a couple cool moments, but it was kind of trying to be like more of a monster movie than anything. It wasn't trying to it was trying to show you like, well, isn't this thing scary? And I'm like, no. No, it's not. I'm sorry. And you know what? Just for the sake of consistency, back in our 8th episode we ever released, the Twin from 2022 got 2 skulls. Let's do the same for the Twin 2024, just because I like consistency, and then I don't have to remember which of them got a slightly higher rating, in case anybody ever asks after 312 episodes which one I would rate higher. So 2 skulls out of 5 for me.
2 skulls for Michelle on the Twin.
You gonna give it a 0? Is it gonna be rated low? No, you got real mad about the Twin 2022.
Yeah,
I would like to hear you hit us with your spoiler-free thoughts, JD.
My spoiler-free thoughts on the Twin, not entirely different from yours. There are a couple of things about this movie that I don't think it would be too spoilery, but I'll hold off. A couple of just giant questions that I'm like, why did you do that? And much like you, there are parts of this movie that I really enjoyed. I think the overall, like the core story of it and a lot of the core ideas I really like. But they did things with them, and especially like the most of the third act that just didn't really work for me. They were, I don't know. And there are some things that were confusing or ambiguous to me, but I get the feeling they weren't supposed to be, and I just didn't get the message I was supposed to get. But overall, I thought it was pretty decent. Like I said, stuff I liked, stuff I didn't like. I was going to come down on a 3 for this one. 3 skulls out of 5.
A 3, very solid.
Yeah,
and I know
3 and a
lately
2.
I've been doing like into the hundredths when it comes to my decimals, but
But
now
you gotta,
let's do it too.
You gotta
I gotta
stay
be consistent.
consistent.
Yeah.
What did
So
Michelle? What did
average?
I give? What did I give the Twin
Oh,
2022 in
I'm
our
so glad
8th
you
episode
asked.
ever?
You gave it 1, and I think originally you did give it 0. But I have a note somewhere that tells me when you amended it. It's apparently not on this spreadsheet.
I'm
you did
pretty
amend
sure
it later.
if memory serves, I amended it from a 0 to 1
Yes.
because of the scary of 61st.
Probably.
I think that's what did it, because I'm pretty sure that's the only other 0 I have at this point. I don't think I have.
No.
It's
no,
not?
there's 2 others.
Really? 2 others? What are they?
The Toxic Avenger.
Oh, yeah,
4,
yeah.
Because it was so offensive you couldn't even really get
Yeah,
into it. And
fuck
then
that movie.
the other one, I'm real mad at you about Hubie Halloween.
Oh, yeah. Well, fuck Adam Sandler's shitty Halloween movie, too. That's fair. That's fair.
That's a good variety. The Scary of 61st, Toxic Avenger, and Hubie Halloween.
Please understand, I am not the guy who often anymore says fuck that movie, but yes, fuck all 3 of those movies. All right.
The other one you really, really didn't like was The Room 2019, which is the only one that has half a skull. So.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember, there's a thing that happens in one of them, but I don't want to say because it would anyway, I'll talk to you about it after this episode. Let's talk about the Twin 2024/2025, depending on how you judge those things. If you don't want anything to be spoiled for you, you're going to want to pause the episode and then come back after you've seen it. And we always come into the spoiler section with Michelle's incredible off the top of her dome plot summary. For those of you who don't give a shit, you just want to listen to us be stupid.
And this is where I always have to make one of those annoying clarifications, which is if it's your first time listening to the podcast, it's not actually an incredible plot summary. Don't be like, whoa, she got all the details right and all the things. No, I have a short-term memory disorder. I have a real hard time remembering how things happen. And so trying to put things together in a linear order on the spot is always difficult for me. I have attempted to write little bullet points for myself, and I still get very fucking confused.
Michelle, I find your summaries to be incredible, not because they're like highly detailed and accurate, but because they tend to be fucking hilarious.
Oh, okay, good. Oh, pressure of a different sort. Great.
Well, this
if
is
your first time listening and this is funny, yay. That never happens.
How many, if this is your first time listenings, are we going to drop today? I just realized we've hit that like 4 times already.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Well, if this is your first time listening, this is me giving the plot summary to the twin. Okay, so the twin. We start with a little boy, and he's scared of his grandma, and that's for good reason, because old people can be scary as hell when you're little, because they're kind of crinkly. And as someone who is becoming an old lady, I am really looking forward to, like, my demon age of just, like, terrifying little children just by, like, being in the same room as them. But apparently this grandma, she's scary for a lot of different reasons. She yoinks him, and I love a child getting yoinked. That's always very funny to me, just, like, somebody grabbing a child and be like, bah, like, So funny. Very slapstick humor. Speaking of slapstick humor, this guy's kid's about to die. So this guy, his name is Nicholas, and he's married to a lady named Charlie. And they have a little boy named Nick, but not for very long. Or Jacob? Nick.
Yes, Jacob.
No, Nick is him. Jacob is the little boy. Okay, see, so Jacob, which I should know because he says his name like 50,000 goddamn times. But so there's two people, and they're madly in love with a child, and they're all having a great life. And Nicholas, he is an artist, so you know that bad things are about to happen in his life, because that is a trope in horror movies where if a man is an artist, it means he's in touch with his emotions, and he's gonna wind up crying a lot. Tell me I'm wrong. You can't. There's no possible way that this movie would happen if Nick was a big corporate businessman. Nah, he got to be in touch with his feelings and able to like recognize what different colors are. So he's off. He's doing his paint thing because it's important to the plot. And his little boy is watching like one of the most fucked up kids shows I don't know what that bubbly song was, but it was probably the scariest thing in this movie, and I do just want to see the full episode that they potentially made to play in the background. I want to see, like, I will buy the DVD of The Twin, despite not really enjoying it, just to see the full cut of that kids show if it exists. So if you're listening, people who made this movie, get on it, please, because I would pay you money to see it. That was a really weird kids show, and I was very focused on trying to figure out, like, what the fuck was going on in that. I love kids shows a lot more than I like actual kids. Like, The Wiggles is iconic. But anyway, so Jacob, he goes upstairs, and he wants to get a pumpkin, and he gets a pumpkin, and then the thing that made me laugh so hard, and I wasn't supposed to, was that Jacob's dad, Nick, is like, whoa, where's my son? And then Jacob falls down the stairs with a pumpkin, and the subtitles were like pumpkin smashing or something, and I'm like, oh shit, they really were like, we can't have like child smashing as the subtitle, so this child has to have a pumpkin for no fucking reason other than it's Halloween. Like, that, they just had to justify, like, yeah, this kid, he wound up like the pumpkin, but it would be way too morbid if we told you that. So we are going to have him carry a pumpkin so you can imagine the mess, but if there's like too much viscera, no, that's just pumpkin. Like, Jacob just, like, he got a little head bump and then he went to sleep forever. But then we are talking later on in the movie about, like, how his dad had to clean up the mess. So we know it was really bad. And the fact that they were just like, this pumpkin symbolizes what happened to this child is so fucking unintentionally funny to me that they just, like, that was bold. I don't think it was meant to be a bold, edgy choice, but it was, and I laughed my ass off because, oh my God, that's a choice. Another choice is to give us one of the worst villains I've seen in modern history, and that is the fucking wife. Oh my God, the wife. Holy shit, this woman. They accidentally wrote such an evil character that I thought it was intentional. Here's the thing. The son dies. Charlie and Nick are going through the typical thing of like, oh no, our son died. We're real sad about it. And she's given him the typical movie trope, like anger eyes of like, you killed our son. Because it's a thing we have seen in every movie. Like, a kid just can't die and it's a sad thing. It's got to be the husband's fault, which we should have known because he's an artist. Of course he was going to kill the child. That's what happens in horror movies. They are in touch with their feelings and then they have a personal struggle. It's the only way that men are able to be represented in this kind of scenario according to horror, not real life, strictly horror. So Charlie, she's like, man, you killed our kid. And then Nick's like, I'm real sad and I'm gonna stand here and I'm gonna scrape rice into the garbage. And here's another thing, this is where I just like became hyper aware of Benny things. Nick is sitting there like sadly scraping rice into a garbage for a long time. First off, who the fuck has rice as a funeral food? That's not a funeral food because it requires a fork. You're supposed to do easy thing like little sandwiches. Rice is not a funeral food. I don't care. A hot dish? Yeah. Good casserole? Yeah. Straight up just like brown rice? No, that's strange. Who are your friends? Speaking of who are your friends, where the fuck are your friends to be there to clean up after the funeral of your son? Why are you stuck doing this? Also, Nick, you dumbass, you're scraping this off, but there's another plate of the exact same type already in the trash. So is this disposable plates that you're insisting on doing this first? And like, who the fuck would put out real dishes that you then have to wash and your friends aren't? Like, it just, I don't know if the people who made this movie have ever been to a funeral, but if they have, the funeral that they went to and were inspired to make this movie by, it was the wrong kind of funeral, and that's not how they're supposed to be done. Like, the loved ones are supposed to take care of the food. Of course, Nick's depressed. Apparently, he doesn't have any friends because nobody is there cleaning up after, and they're just like, okay, sorry about your kid, bye. So Nick, he goes out to the garage to ponder, like, how shitty his life is, and then he's like, you know what? It's time to kill myself. So then in, like, the people who make this movie, if somebody is actively trying to kill themselves, which I know later on we learn he's like, no, it wasn't me, it was my twin. But, like, if you're trying to kill yourself, you're not going to do it in the middle of the day in a tree. That's just a cry for help. That's not an actual attempt. And that upset me because I was like, this is a problem. Bigger problem is that Charlie's like, oh, I'm real mad that my husband tried to kill himself and he's so depressed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sign the hospital paperwork that says, yes, he has a safe place to go and I will be his person. And then I'm going to drive him to his fucking grandmother's house where he had a traumatic event as a child. I'm going to just drop him off there. And when he goes, where's my stuff? I'm just going to be like, no, you stay here alone by yourself. Why did you take on that responsibility? You clearly want this man to actually die. I don't think Charlie knows that the life insurance does not get paid out in the case of a suicide because there's no other fucking explanation for why she took him out of the hospital. And then as she's leaving, as though things are not bad enough, she's like, this is the perfect time to hand you my wedding ring, and no, we cannot talk about it. There has been nothing in this movie up to this point that was an indication that they had a bad relationship. This wasn't the final straw and he's a bad guy. She just went, no, this seems difficult, I'm out. Fuck Charlie. The fact that she shows up later on in the movie and they're like reminiscing and like getting back together. God, she's such a villain and it pissed me off. And anyway, the rest of the movie, Nick's son's dead, and he's real sad about it. And then he sees like a guy who looks kind of like him, but not him because he's CGI'd. And then so he's having some weird things happening. And then he's painting a painting of his child, which I am sad to say did not turn out very well. I think that human paintings never really look good, so like no wonder he was depressed. He was like, man, I'm gonna have to draw the face on this thing and it's not gonna look right. It's gonna be Uncanny Valley. I'm not this kind of artist. And he should just stopped. It should have just been a faceless child. That would have been a much better improvement. Human paintings always look fucking goofy. They're either photorealistic or awful. No in between. I say this as somebody with paintings of myself in my house. Those are great. People who gave those to me as a gift. I love them. They're an exception. They're definitely not creepy at all. Anyway, so Nick's going through some stuff, and then this fucking therapist shows up. And he's also a magician because he's a hypnotist. I know he's not actually a magician, but I do like to think that this guy in his part-time is like a magician at children's shows and like birthday parties and stuff. And that's like, he was just like, oh man, hypnosis. I could use this in my everyday life. So like he's got that's my fan theory for this guy, because I can't understand why the fuck else he would be hypnotizing his patients when he does not understand like anything about how to do that right. Here's the thing. Maybe going to your new client, giving him drugs when you know that he's drunk, and then surprise hypnosis is not the solution that you want it to be. JD shook his head no, and I don't care. As far as I'm concerned, he was inebriated, and surprise hypnosis was not the solution to his problem. I can't think of a single time surprise hypnosis has ever been more of a solution than a problem. That like surprise hypnosis is awful, don't do it. And then he's also like just telling Charlie, the awful, awful wife who wants her husband to die so terribly. He's telling her everything, which like, so clearly you're not a therapist. You're more of like a private spy for the, and also a hypnotist. Like, what the fuck? What are your qualifications? Did she just Google and you shut up first with like a good Yelp review? I don't understand that character. What I do understand is that the character becomes important because at the end he has to hypnotize Nick to get his twin to leave him alone, essentially. It goes into, what is it? Is it The Conjuring or Insidious, where they go into the other world to confront? Thank you. I get those two mixed up because they are the same movie. Not really, just very similar in many regards, and I forget which one's which. So yeah, this turns into Insidious, where it's like, you have to go into another world and reconcile with your son, your dead son, kind of. Not really. Listen, by that point, my cat had fallen asleep on my chest, and she was purring very loudly, and I did turn up the volume, but I did focus a little bit more on her than I did on the movie, because I just couldn't. So much took me out. The fact that Charlie was back and just forgiven. Like, they accidentally wrote a woman who I hated so much that I thought I was meant to hate her. And then, no, she's just his wife again and everything's fine. And yeah, Nick, there's two of them. The other one's a twin, aka a fetch. And listen, we're not going to make fetch happen, okay? No one's going to stop saying fetch. We're not going to make fetch happen. It's a Mean Girls quote. Anyway. The Twin. It's a movie. It's an hour and 43 minutes. The end.
I'm not entirely certain, Michelle, but I think that plot summary was damn near 10 minutes long. I love it.
It's not my fault. It's J.C. Dolar's fault for writing two very complex characters and not telling me enough to wrap up all the loose ends I have about them. Seriously, Charlie can fuck right off.
It was either J.C. Dolar or the other guy who co-wrote it with him. He directed this, but he had a co-writer.
I blame J.C. Dolar because as a co-writer, he was the director. He could have just made some edits and just written Charlie out, and I hated her so much because she clearly just wanted him to die. Like, you don't check the person out of the hospital.
Okay. So there were a couple of things about that I wanted to play apologist on. I don't disagree with you. As written, she's kind of awful, but I don't think I think maybe she didn't necessarily intend to leave him there alone. I find myself wondering if just their interactions there, like she was considering it, but she didn't actually make the decision to do it until right there in that moment. And if you remember what she said, she tells him he's got to get it. To me, the impression I got that Charlie felt like him trying to kill himself after Jacob died was essentially like abandoning her to deal with everything herself. And so from that position, she decided that she didn't, he already made it clear that he didn't want to stick around with her, so why should she stick around with him? That's the impression I got from it.
Listen, in my hatred of her, I already factored that in, and I still don't give a fuck. You do not check somebody out of the hospital after they tried to kill themselves and then just leave them at a house.
I did say that I don't disagree with you, as written.
Yep.
The other
because
thing,
I 100% was like, this is a complex thing, and she probably did feel betrayed, and she's right to feel betrayed. She should not have taken responsibility for this person. He should have stayed in the hospital.
Now, here's another thing you mentioned in that plot summary. You were like, nobody who actually wants to kill themselves goes out there in the middle of the daytime where anybody will be able to see him and hangs himself from a tree. That's not a suicide attempt. That's a cry for help. Yeah, maybe it was Nick's cry for help, Michelle. Maybe he wasn't actually trying to kill himself. Did you ever consider that?
I did, and it's wild that he wound up in the hospital for a full month, if that's the case, because I definitely have had friends who should have been in there way longer, and they were kicked out immediately because they didn't try to kill themselves hard enough.
Well,
so,
this
the
is
American healthcare system,
he tried hard enough that he had to, he had marks on his neck, because they mentioned that they've come back towards the end of them. Anyway,
I've had marks on my neck too, and it was just a kinky night. It's no indication of how hard he tried to kill himself.
I'm just trying to play a little devil's advocate here.
That's fair. Like I said, this is just a very niche thing for me. I know it's bullshit.
You were like, was it the wife that was the thing that was annoying the fuck out of you?
her plus the doctor, I was just like, so many, and the doctor's like, this is textbook schizophrenia, and I was like, that's not what schizophrenia
Oh, Michelle, the thing about that's funny to me is, why would you ever think that wouldn't bother me? It's one of the worst things about this movie so far is what didn't work for me. We'll get to that in just a minute.
It was just the combination. It was the general, like, have you ever known a mentally ill person, or did this seem like a good plot device?
Right. I don't think the sequence where he's scraping the rice into the garbage, I don't think that was right after the funeral. I think that was just a day after the kid died. But I may be wrong. I don't know.
Counterpoint, nobody's going to be like, I'm real depressed about my dead kid, I should put on a tie. That is a funeral move.
Okay, that's fair.
Yep. That is a funeral move.
The only other note I have from your plot summary that I wanted to jump to right away is you were talking about children getting yoinked earlier, and apropos of nothing, it just occurred to me that yoinking is the opposite of yeeting.
Yeah.
Yoink and yeet. Now, that's the way I'm going to define them from now on, is if anybody asks me what does yeet mean, and it's like, it's the opposite of yoink.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
what's
100%.
what's yoink? It's the opposite of yeet.
Yeah, when one of my friends got some of her reproductive organs removed, we said they got yeeted, so her uterus became a yeeterus.
Yeeterus. Love it.
Yep.
So yeah, the stuff I liked a lot of the concepts in this movie. This idea of, and we've seen this whole thing before of, is it really happening? Is it happening only in his head? But I liked the way they played it with that idea of perhaps, there are all the sequences towards the end where it looks like maybe the fetch is actually real and becomes visible to the doctor and the wife. Those are all played in such a way where you could very easily see them as just us seeing the other Nicholas, the bad Nicholas, understanding that he's taken over the body now, but doesn't actually look like that to them. It's really well done in that sense. So that part of this.
I was gonna say, if you're thinking about your next point, can I make a quick comment? Or
No, I'm not done with this point. So
same point. Okay.
Yeah. So I liked that concept of the story, right, where he's fighting with himself over the idea of his guilt over the situation with his kid, because I get he holds himself responsible. Which is, you were saying a bunch of stuff about why did he clean up the mess, and the doctor asks him, maybe a doctor flat out asks him, and he said, because it was my mess, right? He holds himself responsible, and I know in the real world that shit would have been cleaned up before he ever got home. It
would have been considered biohazardous material.
Yes,
that
I get
absolutely
it.
would not have left their son.
I get it. We're also talking about a movie that potentially has a real-life demon creature, Michelle, so calm down. So that part of it, and even the part, like the element of he's starting to forget, like he can't remember his son's face. Let me tell you specifically why I liked that part. I think it's an excellent idea. We've seen similar ideas before. But why that hit me so hard is there was a kid that I went to high school with. He was in my graduating class. His name is John. And John was our valedictorian, gave the valedictorian speech. John's dad passed away during our senior year. And in his valedictorian speech, he talked a little bit about his dad. And there was a line in his speech that just broke the whole crowd, including myself. And it ended up being very positive, but he said something to the effect of, I'll never forget it. It was like, it's only been 6 months and I'm already forgetting his face. And like the kind of inevitability of that sort of thing, right? Like, because all memory eventually just becomes like assembled amalgams of things, right? The specificity in a lot of ways gets lost, the detail, and it becomes more broad feelings. So that whole element of this, I really, really liked. You had some stuff you wanted to respond.
First off, having a memory disorder, I'm gonna forget people's faces tomorrow. Sometimes I'll see my husband on the street and I'll do a double take and be like, I think that's him. I think I'm just seeing him in the wild. I don't remember shit. I will forget his face tonight. I think he's a brunette. I don't remember. But my other thing, the twin would have, like, the actual twin, the fetch, would have worked a lot better for me, especially with this psychological, like, is it real, is it not real thing, if they didn't try to do such a heavy, like, CGI effect thing to, like, clearly show you, like, this one's the evil twin. Like, if it had just been, like, more of a humanoid version of him where there is a little bit more confusion about, like, who's who, I think it would have worked a lot better. But I did not like the look of the fetch, and that really, I couldn't connect with that then, because I was like, this is just kind of silly.
No,
just
that's
like Riley
fair.
barking is very silly.
Yeah, that little guy. Give me 2 seconds to go figure out what he's barking about.
He's seen ghosts.
He's seeing ghosts.
Seeing ghosts. Oh, and he stopped. Nope, never mind.
Riley. Hey. You knock it off. Trying to record a podcast in here. Stop it. Come here. You little fool. Get it in here and quit your barking. Good Lord. Oh. This dog, I swear to God. No, so, oh shit, what were we talking about?
The twin and the appearance of the twin.
Oh, yeah.
Clearly fraternal, not identical.
Wait, not identical? What are you talking about? The only thing that wasn't identical is, like, his eye was whited out. It's the same actor, Michelle.
No, that one's CGI. That's why they're fraternal.
Oh,
They don't look identical. One of them is CGI. I know what I'm seeing.
All right, so let's go ahead and hit that point right away then, because that nicely dovetails into another one of my thoughts on this. Why the fuck is this movie titled The Twin? At no point
Fetch?
Yes, why is the title of this movie not The Fetch? It's not a surprise. It's literally the first thing that appears on screen is the word fetch and its definition. They never refer to this thing as his evil twin. No reference to it whatsoever. Why is this movie not just called The Fetch?
Lack of confidence with the storytelling is my guess, that they're like, if we call it The Fetch, people are going to be really confused. They don't know what a fetch is. We should explain multiple times what a fetch is. I still don't think they're going to get it. Let's just call it The Twin.
Well, and that's the thing that's so interesting about it to me is you're talking about a movie that frankly is targeted at a type of fandom that doesn't often really give a shit what the title of the movie is, right? Or just because the title is weird and they don't necessarily understand it, that's not often going to put a horror fan off, right? Because at the very least, you figure something in the movie will explain the title. You know, so I guess I can understand the worry about that. But yeah, the whole time I'm just like, why is this movie not just called The Fetch?
I appreciate the irony of you bitching about the name while also saying horror fans won't care what the name is.
Well, what I mean is they won't care if it's a name they don't understand. That's what I was trying to say.
Silly.
It's just like a movie that I did enjoy more personally is Jeremiah Kipp's Slapface. Why is that movie?
I also thought of Slapface.
Yeah, why is that movie not just called The Virago? Right? They talk about the Virago from the beginning of the movie. It's one of the first concepts introduced. Why is it not just called The Virago? I don't get it.
Why is this movie not called The Virago? That's
because
the real question.
that's a really good question.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Also,
why is this movie not called Slapface?
Why you pick your title is now The Twin, which is another movie that was just released on Shudder 3 years ago that has some rather down opinions about it, right? Come on, guys. Anyway, that's just a little thing that I was just like, why is this movie not called The Fetch?
This movie is full of very little things that wind up being much bigger deals to random people. I want to know the little things that other people nitpicked about, where they're like, the fact that he's right-handed, like just the most, they're like, this is clearly painting made with a left hand. Those kind of things that I didn't catch. But being mad.
So like you, though, the stuff that really didn't work, because it was frankly kind of annoying, is the psychiatrist character, for all the reasons you stated. Not only does he spill all the beans to the dude's wife, which I guess to a certain extent you don't like, but if you're genuinely concerned about somebody, I can at least see... No, I can't. But
no,
not just...
he's not... No. I would say he's not a threat to himself. Right. And if he is a threat to himself, maybe don't leave him in a fucking house by himself.
Right. But not only does he spill all the beans to the wife, he just spills all the beans to some crazy neighbor lady.
Yep.
And starts asking her for starts asking her for inside information about the dude's history, all this, that, and the other, and then, like you said, just out of the blue, just fucking first he pulls prescription drugs, and I guess they kind of try to justify it because he only gave him 2 pills, and he's like, why only 2? And he just kind of gives him that look, why do you think only 2? Well, what is this guy, a pharmacist? Is he licensed to dispense medication? Yep. I guarantee you he's not. There's a reason that they have a pharmacist do that. But then also, just out of nowhere, he just fucking... It's the equivalent of slipping a Mickey in his drink, right? Just hits him completely non-consenting with the hypnosis situation. This guy is a walking HIPAA violation, a walking consent violation. And I couldn't, it's so heavy and so thick throughout the whole thing, and I am so in therapy with both a psychiatrist and a therapist that I'm just like, this guy should never be allowed anywhere within 100 yards of a psychiatric facility, ever.
I mean, he made the one guy stop smoking. That means he can do surprise hypnosis on a man who's recovering from suicidal ideation.
Yeah, and then right at the end of the movie, he just starts shouting at him, no, go ahead, kill yourself. Go ahead, because, we're going to reverse psychology him because he needs to get into that place so he can conquer. So, I don't know. Here's the thing with, here, let me throw this question out at you. What the fuck was the point of all the stuff with his grandma and his grandma maybe turning into a monster? And then what was the point of all of that? How did that play into the rest of this?
It was a really cool, completely separate plot.
Right. So,
I know, they're not intertwined. That's my complaint, is that I'm it's interesting. It does not lend anything to.
And I was thinking about that, and here's the only answer I can come up with is that, in fact, the fetch is real. Perhaps the fetch is a demon that had attached to his grandmother, because if you see the face of his grandmother the few times we see it, it's kind of distorted, like the fetch that's following him, like a possessed version of her. What if the fetch is supposed to be an actual real demon that killed his grandmother and then attached itself to him and has been biding its time to kill him? Because, again, there's that moment where real Nick kind of falls to the floor and evil Nick is right behind him, and evil Nick goes charging at the psychiatrist. What's his name? Andrew. And that's where he knocks him down and he hits the table. Again, the way it's shot, it could very easily just be a visual representation for us as an audience. But there's one line that Andrew says just before he gets knocked down and smacks his head on the table. He says, "You're not real." And then they never come back to it. And from that point on, again, everything we see happen could theoretically be just Nick being sort of overwhelmed by this negativity that he's experiencing. But the more I thought about it, I think the Fetch is supposed to be a real demon that was actually there and doing all this stuff.
I absolutely agree with you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I was trying to figure out how the fuck does Grandma fit into this? But they never tell you that. Like, I'm making leaps of logic here. They never at any point flat out say that this thing is attached to Grandma, except that, okay, again, when Grandma's coming to the door, her voice starts to change in and out, and then when her hands reach through to yoink him, they look like those black fucking Fetch hands. So I guess maybe that's what was supposed to be going on here. If that is what was going on here, I like it a little bit less. That's not so fun for me, or so interesting for me.
I was actually surprised to learn that it was such a... what's the word I'm looking for? Like a question of whether it's real or not, because to me, I felt like it was kind of beating us over the head with it, but trying to be like kind of clever and just not clever enough. I think the design of the Fetch just did not work for me, and again, if the Fetch had looked like him, not CGI'd, it would have been a lot more questionable about, but no, he looks like a demonic guy, and he's straight up seeing him all over the place. I like the part where his grandma's head's on backwards. Like, that's a good reason for the grandma to exist, because that part was real fun, but I didn't really question. I thought it was a little too obvious.
Sure, and so
which I'm not saying as like a pompous intellectual. I realize it might. No, I'm disappointed.
Oh, so you just kind of the whole time felt like he was actually really there.
Yeah, and I attributed it to not as great writing to make it more subtle.
Yeah, no, I can see that. It didn't register to me like that as I was watching through. I think I was more caught up in the present story as opposed to the past story. And then they just never came together, and I was like, that's kind of weird, and I had to piece it together in retrospect.
I was over here being like, okay, the Fetch is clearly real, but let's tackle the real issue of this movie, his fucking wife. Like, I was just like, I don't care. The Fetch is real. Whatever. Tell me more about Bubble Bear and the wife. These are the things I need more info about.
Yeah, for sure. There was another point to something I was... Oh, so dovetailing off of that, another thing about the movie that I really did like is I thought there's some good quality spookums in this. The whole thing with Grandma's head being turned around, and there are a couple of startling moments, some jump scares. I don't know what it is about jump scare, but I fucking hate that terminology. Something weird about how those words feel in my mouth.
It's a scare and it makes you jump.
Right, but...
Chris Cross will make you jump. Does that make him a jump scare?
Maybe. The Mac Dad'll make you jump. Yep. Yeah. So, ain't nothing something about Chris Cross with all that, and if they ask, do they rock, say believe that. Yeah, I know a thing or two about Chris Cross.
I was waiting. Chris Cross applesauce? Yeah, real good applesauce.
I definitely, on at least one occasion, wore a baseball jersey buttoned behind my back to school. Because I thought I was cool.
That.
I thought it was like 8th grade, and I thought I was rad.
Listen,
but,
we all made bad decisions as 8th graders and 9th graders and adults.
But no, I did think there was some real quality spookums here. It's not my kind of spookums, but I feel like people who are into that sort of thing would have enjoyed it. I'm not typically a supernatural, like, demon kind of torment guy, but I didn't, like I said, I enjoyed a decent amount of this. There was just enough that kept taking me out that I couldn't, I think 3 is a fair score.
I have no rebuttal because I agree with you. 3 is a good score for you. 2 is a good high score for you, given how much I hated Charlie. I just could not get past it. And then you throw this incompetent therapist, and the entire time I was like, I just hate everybody except Nick. Nick's fine. I feel bad that he feels so much guilt and that he doesn't have an actual therapist to talk to about it.
So I have 2 quick things then a couple of questions I wanted. Did you happen to notice anything interesting about the photos and paintings on the walls?
I'm going to say no, but I will also say that I know you did. Otherwise, you would not be asking me this question.
Exactly. That's why I saved it towards the end. And it was kind of frustrating because there's that sequence kind of early on in the movie after he's first gone into Grandma's house, and he sees, for the first time, he sees Jacob standing at the top of the stairs holding the pumpkin, and he starts to go up this, and Jacob once again gets yoinked from behind by the Black Hands, and he's going up the stairs. I didn't notice it right away, and I had to do a quick jump back because it kind of hit me just as it passed. In that moment when he's having that hallucination, all the paintings in the house are upside down. Like all the paintings, all the photographs in every room of the house that he passes through, they're all upside down, which I thought was interesting. I caught it, and that was really early on, and I was like, okay, I got to keep watching for this. But I shit you not, all the rest of the hallucinatory experiences, at least as I could tell, were shot so darkly that if the paintings were and the photos were all upside down again, I was not able to tell. But yeah, and at least in that one sequence, and I thought that was going to be a thing, and then it just wasn't a thing. But I was curious if you had caught. Now, also, another thing that I caught that I'm curious, did you catch what happens at the very end of the movie right before the credits roll? There's a shot.
I watched it. I have no memory of it.
It's a shot of Charlie and Nick, and Nick is behind her, kind of holding her, like hugging her from behind, and they're looking into like a medicine cabinet mirror. Let me tell you, the only reason I found it is because right before the credits rolled, in the subtitles, there was a sound effect subtitle, and it said "Bone Crunch." And if you watch, the very last thing that happens on screen is, if you're watching the reflection in the mirror, there's a second Nicholas face that turns up and melds into his as the bone crunch
really
things
cool.
happen.
I heard now that you have reminded me, I saw the Bone Crunch subtitle, and I was like, ooh, I like that. It implies there's still some evil around. I did not catch anything visually, and I think I would have possibly missed it altogether if I don't like to watch things with subtitles.
I did think that was really, it's all obviously also,
I like those
you know,
little things. I wish that I caught some of those. That would have some magic.
That's a lot of the stuff also that kind of pushed me more from like that 2.5 up to the 3 is, I tell you, I really am curious to see more of what this J.C. Doller guy does in the future. As far as I can tell, this is his first feature film. You know, and we've said this about a lot of folks, and quite often it's turned out well. You know, first films are not necessarily always going to be home runs, but they can at least tell you that there's somebody here worth paying attention to, and I definitely got that impression, at least from this film. There were enough little details in it along the way that I was like, okay, here's somebody who knows what they're doing. They just maybe need a little bit more seasoning.
I need the second film to be Bubble Bear. I'm very interested in Bubble Bear.
That was super, super weird.
And then when they're doing that, like, flashback, not a flashback, where the kid's watching it and it's all creepy and Bubble Bear starts getting distorted, I'm really interested in that. I cared more about Bubble Bear than I cared about any other thing in this movie. I want to see more Bubble Bear. It was such a creepy children's show, and I love creepy children's show. Like,
yeah, it was
I'm
pretty
all
dope.
about it. Bubble Bear, the song, the bubble song. That's gotta be my ringtone. I'm obsessed with Bubble Bear. I want Bubble Bear merch. I will go see Bubble Bear when he's on tour. I'm all about Bubble Bear.
Do you remember what the name of the fox character was that the kid was obsessed with?
Fox?
Something about fire, but I don't remember.
I think Firefox. No, that's an internet browser.
Anyway, it's also a movie from the 80s about like a weird experimental airplane, I think.
No idea. I'm a 90s kid.
Right on. Anyway, I don't really have a whole lot more else to say about The Twin, except I'm, for the rest of my life, I don't care what anybody says, I'm just going to call this movie The Fetch for the rest of my life because I want to distinguish it from that other The Twin that I really didn't care for. But yeah, again, I think if you're the kind of person who likes spookums, even though we spoiled the plot and everything of the movie, I think there's enough spookums in this that, you know, if it's just like Saturday afternoon and you want to throw something on, but you don't want to, you're not even entirely certain what it is, and maybe you're going to be washing the dishes while you're watching it or something. I can't even say that, because if you really do want to get the spookums out of it, you should be, sort of locked in, but it'll give you some good spookums along the way. I thought some stuff in it really good. So,
I like to multitask, and it's very easy for me to multitask and like work on something like today's schoolwork and also watch a movie. This one was not a great one to try to multitask. I just stopped trying.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot going on dialogue-wise, and the things that are dialogue that you can maybe, like, I don't know, go play a round of Sudoku on your phone. Then it's just a therapist who's so bafflingly bad at his job that I want to keep watching it. So I actually watched this one.
Now I do want to make one final point, and then we're just gonna wrap it up.
Oh, I don't get a rebuttal? I'm really scared about what this final point's gonna be.
No, I was okay. Maybe you'll get a rebuttal.
Okay. Oh no.
I don't want to be that guy. But
yes, you do. You're always that guy. Just say it.
Maybe fucking don't leave your 4-year-old toddler just alone in a giant house that it can run around and get hurt in. Maybe take your painting easel into the room that he's in and paint where you can see him. I'm just saying.
And see, here's the thing. I had this conversation with some other friends recently where we're like, guys, can you imagine if we chose to be parents right now? Because there's so much stuff about kids that I don't even consider. I like watching police body cam footage on YouTube sometimes. Only the ones where, like, the people suck and they deserve to get arrested. Like, I don't want to see somebody getting arrested at Walmart for stealing baby food. Like, that's depressing. I'm not interested. I want, like, somebody who's, like, making a fuss at Starbucks. But one woman got arrested because she left her 10-year-old and the kid in a car unsupervised. And the car was on with air conditioning. The doors were locked because she had the fob with her, and she got arrested. And I'm like, what do you mean? I was left in the van all the fucking time as a kid. And I think, like, if I had a child, I would not even think about all the ways that child could, fall down stairs.
Yes,
like,
Michelle, I was being silly and facetious.
I know. I'm just saying it's a real thing that, like, I'm so glad I don't have to deal with that. Of being like, oh, do I have to paint in the other room because there's a whole ass person over there? You know the true problem with this movie? No shoes in the house. Don't wear your fucking shoes in the house. You won't trip on your shoelaces.
Fair. That's a solid point right there, Michelle.
Yeah, that's the true issue with this movie. Don't wear your shoes in the house. And they make a big deal of, like, he didn't even put his real clothes on before he put his shoes on. Like, just no shoes in the house, idiot.
Jesus, I didn't even call the kid an idiot. I was just blaming the dad for being a lackluster parent.
Kids are idiots, lovable idiots, but they have so much to learn. They can't do taxes. They probably have never even watched Judge Judy and understand anything about the legal system. Try to explain science to them. Have they read A Tale of Two Cities?
Hold on. Did you just suggest that watching Judge Judy teaches you actual truths about the legal system?
Yeah, it's why I'm so smart.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. I will say that if we are conversing about things to worry about being a parent, I will just say that I am 44 years old, just a couple of days away from being 45, and I still forget about and burn pizzas in my oven 2 to 3 times a year. So what I'm saying is probably better that I don't have kids, because sooner or later I'm going to forget one of them in the oven. And shit's gonna get real bad.
The kid or the pizza?
Yes. Say goodnight, Michelle.
Good night, Michelle.